true democracy is one that respects all human rights, primarily the freedom of speech, expression and assembly. For many years, citizens of the world have used these rights to challenge governments and demand accountability. But are these rights absolute? This next report has details.
Across the world, protests and demonstrations have become very popular and powerful, with new incidents reported almost every day. But growing alongside this popularity is violent crackdown by security officials. In April 2019, Algerian President Abdelaziz Bouteflika ended his 20-year reign after months of mass protests against his government. 3 people were killed in the spell of that demonstration, with dozens others injured and arrested. A similar display in Hong Kong forced the government to withdraw a controversial extradition bill, though security crackdown left dozens wounded and imprisoned. The situation is no different in Nigeria, where protests are used to challenge laws and demand change.
Calm down.
But the demonstrations often turn bloody, with security officials receiving the blame. To set the record straight, we visit spokesperson for the Lagos Police Command, Bala Elkanah, who explains why violence and crackdown by security officials mar most protests.
You want to go on procession and you block the major routes, forgetting that there are other Nigerians also who have the right to freedom of movement. When there's a breach of peace, you don't expect the police to just fold his hands and watch. We have a duty to step in and to restore normalcy in good time. So at that time, you see police having at loggerheads with those who are actually protesting.
The police have severally come under fire for using force on protesters, with prominent cases including short protests and the #RevolutionNow march. But Elkanah says the police action is not far off from its constitutional provision.
There cannot be law enforcement without some lawful exercise of force. The law permits the use of force, but the circumstances will warrant what kind of force that the police should apply. When a protest has moved beyond the peaceful protest to rioting, police is authorized at that moment to use force. Then, where you decide to use weapon against the police, you are also asking the police now to use weapon too.
There is, however, a limit to the level of force a police officer can use on civilians.
Sometimes people misinterpret when police use a lawful force and unlawful force. If a policeman placed you under arrest, you did not drag with him, you did not argue with him, and he used force on you, he will be charged for unlawful use of force.
But how can Nigerians express their rights to peaceful assembly within the ambit of the law?
When you have a protest, let us know so that we can help now look at the route you cover. We can redirect traffic. We'll provide security for those protesting so that nobody who has no business with your protest will now step in and hijack you.
No fewer than 6 people, including a journalist, have been killed in protests in the 3rd quarter of 2019 alone. The Nigerian police force says it is now considering the use of stun guns and a review of its rules of engagement in an effort to stem the trend. Fidelia Aguncha, TV 360, Lagos.